Hello and welcome back for more notes. 2.7 is factoring polynomials with trinomials where a is greater than 1. So we're going to jump on in because we're going to follow all the tips and tricks from the last lesson. So I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So in these questions, what you'll notice obviously is that the a value is now greater than 1. Okay? So just like anything else, your first rule of factoring is always GCF. So you want to see, can there be a GCF taken out of all my terms? Which there can't be. So we're going to follow through with the rest of our rules. So we know that this is going to be set up to be a binomial. Okay, and so we have a couple of things. Now originally when we had just x squared, we'd split it as x and x, but now that it's 2x squared, we need to identify what's something that could be multiplied on left and right side to become 2x squared. And that's going to be 2x times x. Okay, so I don't want 2x squared in 1. I want to split apart the x's, but I also have to honor the 2. So that's why we have 2x and x. Now, how this complicates things a little bit is that you have to have a little bit more guess and check, because we do still want factors of c that add to b, just like the last time, but now you have that 2x that's going to affect things, okay? And so what are my factors of 3? Be 1 and 3. So the problem is we need to think about how I can place these numbers. Okay? Because technically, if I place the 1 here and the 3 here, is that going to yield a different answer than if I put the 3 here and the 1 there? Yes, and the reason why is because when you are doing your FOIL system or your distributing process, you're going to be multiplying by 2x. So that 2 is going to multiply to anything in that last term because now it's there. I guess that was not where I wanted to go with that. But because normally we just multiply by x, we didn't really worry about it. Now we have to worry about that 2 being involved with multiplying to our factor. So we also need to think about signs. Okay? So if I am multiplying to a negative, and I'm adding to a negative, okay, that means I need to have a plus sign and I need to have a minus sign, okay, or a positive and a negative. The problem is we can't automatically set that up. We have to kind of think about it. So it could be a positive 1, it could be a negative 1, it could be a positive 3, it could be a negative 3. So it's a little bit more guess and check process. So let's try out a number. So if I put in 1 and 3, let's do our full FOIL process. 2x times 3 is 6x, and 1 times x is 1x. Now, can 6x and 1x make negative 5x? Yes, they can. We just have to use our signs appropriately. So which number would need to be negative, the 3 or the 1, so that it becomes negative 5x? Okay, it's going to be the 3. We want negative 3 and positive 1. And you can always just erase these extra parts. You don't have to keep that there. That's just there to kind of help you see your options. So let's just double check real quick. We get 2x times x, which is 2x squared. 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. 1 times x is positive x, so negative 6x plus 1 is negative 5x. And positive 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. So factoring is a self-checking system. You can always check. If you don't check, then you're kind of wasting some given points, right? Let's try the next one. 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Okay. So again, look for GCF. There's none there. So we set up our binomials. So first we want to think about that 3x squared. How do we want to split it? Well, we have to honor that 3, so it means I have 3x and x. And then think about my factors of 8. 1 and 8, 2 and 4. So now we have to think about our options. Okay? Now remember, we need to multiply by 3. So let's think about this logically here. Would we ever want to multiply 3 times 8? No, because that's way too big. I only want 10x. So if I multiply 3 times 8, that's 24. There's no way that I'm going to be able to recruit that and get it back down to 10. So I definitely don't want it to be 1 and 8. Okay, let's think about it the opposite way. What about 8 and 1? Okay, I am in pro. I support writing and erasing. So if you don't want to write and erase, you don't have to, but I like to write and erase. So let's see if I did 8 and 1. Okay, well, what would happen there? Remember, we're just looking at the outside and inside terms because we want them to combine together to be 10x, okay? Your first terms, we already set up correctly. Your last terms, we know we're going to multiply to 8. We just need to make sure those middle terms and the correct signs get us to positive 10x, and then obviously make sure it's a negative 8 at the end as well. So 3x times 1 is 3x. 8 times x is 8x. Can 3x and 8x give me to 10x? Nope. So that means that set of factors is not going to work. So now I need to try 2 and 4. So let's try 2 and 4. Okay, so we have 3x times 4, which is 12x, and 2x. So can 12x and 2x get me to 10x? Yes. Now I have to worry about my sign. So I want it to be a positive 10x, but a negative 8. So that means one of them needs to be positive, and one of them has to be negative. I just froze on screen. Sorry, kind of like turned around and my face was frozen. So which one needs to be positive? Well, the 4 should be positive because we want the greater number, 12x, and then we would minus the 2x. Okay, and so now we are done with that problem. And again, you can self-check. 3x times x, 3x squared. 3x times 4, 12x, minus 2x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Okay. 5n squared plus 17n plus 6. Okay, so again, GCF, there's none. Set up your binomial for your first term. So 5n squared would be 5n and n. Factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Okay. And again, think about things a little bit more logically and you won't have to try as many things. So we know we don't want to multiply 5 and 6, right? Because that, again, is going to give us way too much. So we don't want that. Okay. Could I possibly want 6 and 1? Maybe. What's that going to get me? 5n and 6n. That's not going to get me to 17. So that looks like that pairing is not going to work. Okay, let's try 2 and 3. Well, that gets me 15 and 2. Is that going to get me to 17? Well, it could if the signs are correct. Let's look at the signs. We have positive B and positive C, which means both my signs have to be positive. So that would work. Okay, so it's all about just a system of guessing and using things kind of mentally with your tricks from last lesson. So we always want to set up our first terms, and we always want to think about our factors of C. And then the middle part is really just guessing and checking real quick of what works to multiply together to get to that middle term. And then you can always just double check yourself real quick, and you're good to go for the next one. 7a squared minus 11a plus 4. Okay, so no GCF. So we want 7a and a. And factors of 4 are 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Okay, so again, it's very rare that you're going to want to multiply your one and the number you want. You're very rarely going to multiply that first term, okay, as 1 and the number. And that's just simply because you're going to get a very large number. So unless this middle term is very large, you're never going to do that, okay? Let's try the opposite, just like we've done every time. So 4 and 1, can that work? 7a and 4a, can that get me to a negative 11a? Again, yes, if the signs are correct. Let's check. We have a negative b and a positive c. So the only way that would work is if they're both negative. So they have to be negative, so would that work? Negative 7a and negative 4a, that would give me a negative 11a, and negative 4 times negative 1 would be positive 4. So that one works. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a couple on your own and have you try those and come to the next video and see if you were correct. Okay. Oops, sorry, you can't see the last one there. Okay, go ahead and try these and you'll come to the next video to check them.